Are you buying a ski property in 2026? Then don't let currency volatility melt your budget. I'm Jake from SnowOnly Plus, and today we're joined by Aaron Morris from Smart Currency to help you along your Alpine property search. In this video, we're going to be discussing what's in store for the Euro in 2026, what a forward contract is and how it can help with off-plan purchases, why you should choose a broker over your high street bank, and we're also going to be discussing risk strategy, so how to stop gambling with your life savings and start buying with confidence. So stop hoping for a better rate and start planning like a pro. Let's dive in. Without further ado, today I am excited to be joined by Aaron Morris from Smart Currency Exchange. Hi Aaron, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Jake.
Aaron, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about yourself, who Smart Currency are, and how you can help our clients in 2026.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Jake. Yeah, so my name is Aaron Morris. I work at Smart Currency Exchange and I work on the personal dealing desk. So I'm responsible for looking after clients who have a currency exchange requirement. A lot of that revolves around purchasing properties overseas. So in this instance, obviously looking to help the SnowOnly clients, and I've been in the industry 14 years. So that's a bit about me on the personal side of things, but at Smart in general, we are essentially here to navigate the currency markets for you, look at sort of reducing your exposure and risk to the ever-changing currency markets while offering some kind of like a boutique white glove approach, but everything is kind of centered around the client's requirements.
What are currency markets and why do they move? And I guess, why are they important?
Yeah, indeed. So essentially the currency markets are a global platform where currencies are traded. 4 trillion units go through the currency markets on a daily basis. It's a huge global platform. In terms of what moves the rates, there are a number of factors that can drive the markets and the fluctuations in those rates. So you've got flows into a particular currency, economic data, central bank and government announcements. All of those things can have an impact on a daily basis, and a lot of that is also priced into the markets weeks or months ahead as well.
Nice, perfect. I know at the start of 2026 we've had a couple of geopolitical events that are worrying a few people at the moment, right? Which they can affect markets.
Indeed. And we're seeing a result of that, across trade this morning as well. But it's always keeps you on your toes, and you've got to keep your finger on the pulse just to make sure you're not missing anything.
Lots of clients are buying in the Alps. We're in peak winter season now, January, so the snow's falling all over the Alps. I don't know if you're a skier or not, Aaron, but I guess a lot of our clients require euros to do that. We do a lot of property transactions in France. Can you maybe give us a roundup of 2025 and what's happened with the euro versus maybe the pound and dollar?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad to hear that the snow is falling. I am a skier and I've got my ski trip booked for March, so I hope that continues for the next few weeks. But obviously it's been 2025 has been probably one of the most volatile I can remember, and actually the euro has probably remained one of the stronger currencies throughout the past 12 months. If you look at sort of sterling euro, for example, from March through to November, the pound lost almost 7% against the euro, although sort of towards the back end of last year, we did see the pound claw back around 2.5%. And right now, it's probably at the highest levels we've seen since October. So things are improving for those people that are looking to purchase their euros from pounds. Again, the dollar's suffered a similar fate. It's actually lost a little bit more, I'd say, over the last 12 months. The dollar's lost around about 11% against the euro. Again, lots of uncertainty surrounding Trump's policies and global events have caused the dollar to weaken off a little bit. And also the Australian dollar as well has had a similar sort of move in line with the pound, and that's down about 5%. So actually the euro, despite there being a lot of uncertainty maybe sort of 18 months, 2 years ago, has been one of the stronger performers over the last 12 months.
Nice. That's good to hear. For like I said before, a lot of our business is done by clients buying euros and moving to France and Italy and other European countries. So it's really good to hear that the euro's on the way up, especially for all our euro buyers. again, what about 2026? I know obviously, you know, none of us have a crystal ball, right? But any insight on where we think the euro might be going in 2026?
Obviously, as you say, no one has a crystal ball, but I think there's a good chance the euro will maintain its positive position. I don't think the markets are expecting very little from the European Central Bank in terms of rate cuts or any sort of changes to growth forecasts, and you know, inflation has remained under control, and growth, although it's been sort of slow, it has been consistent. And if you compare that to some of the other countries, then you know that is a positive for the eurozone. You know, you've also got to factor in sterling and the dollar will probably come under a bit more pressure over the next 12 months. Likely we'll see maybe 2, even 3 rate cuts from the Bank of England this year. Obviously, Donald Trump's set to announce the new Fed chair sort of anytime now, really. And also, who knows what his actions are going to have on the currency markets. So, you know, it's it's going to be a volatile time, and that's why it's always worth speaking to me and us at Smart Currency, just to make sure we're navigating those markets and, you know, maximizing the return for you.
Yeah, perfect. I guess that kind of answers my next question, which was, you know, why should clients speak to you, and when should clients speak to you?
Yeah, the sooner the better, really. You know, we can obviously look at just maintaining sort of contact with a client. We can look at just navigating the currency markets and just reducing that exposure to the ever changing rates. I think it's quite important that people are kept in the loop. And obviously, people want to make sure that their purchase isn't going to cost them more than it needs to. So by speaking to me, you know, as early as you can, you know, you're giving yourself a bit of peace of mind, and, as I say, reducing that exposure, which is critical in my view.
So what would you say the difference is? You know, I speak to a lot of clients, and some clients don't even know your services exist. So, you know, I spoke to a woman a few months ago, and she was just going to use her high street bank to do her exchange. So what would you advise in that case to clients that are thinking of using their high street bank?
Yeah, I always say to people, you know, people always trust their bank. You know, everyone's got a bank account, but as you say, Jake, people don't always know that our service is available. You know, the bank doesn't specialize in one particular area. So when you're speaking to myself and to Smart Currency, you've got that expert in your corner. As I said before, we're monitoring the rates. We're keeping you in the loop. We've got a number of different ways that we can help clients purchase their currency. You know, I'm always on the end of the phone, or you can contact me on email. Don't have to sit on hold for 2 hours trying to get through to your bank. You know, you'll get an instant response, and you know, and that goes the same with a lot of like the online banks nowadays as well. You know, they've got like a one-size-fits-all solution for clients. You know, yes, it's easy to book the rates online, but you're not going to get that tailored finish to it, and you know, being able to speak to someone and just getting that bit of reassurance at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. And I think something that you said in there is super valuable, which is time saving, and getting things done quickly. We all know how quickly the markets can move, right? So being able to get the information that you need and getting the service that you need as quickly as possible is can be quite important to clients, especially when they're working with deadlines as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So when you're trying to keep a notaire happy, you know, you need to get those payments out the door as quickly as you can, and they want confirmation that money's on its way.
Amazing. So what products does Smart offer for clients to help navigate the markets?
So the 2 most common ways of purchasing currency is you've got the spot contract and a forward contract. So the spot contract is essentially a buy now, pay now type of contract. So that would just be a case of calling me, letting me know how much you want to purchase, or provide the live market rate. And if the client is happy, lock that rate of exchange in, they send the payment in full, and then we can either hold the euros on their account with us, or send it straight out to the notary or to their own account. So that's a good way of just taking advantage of a sudden spike. The other contract, which is very popular with people that are purchasing properties, is what we call a forward contract. That allows someone to fix a rate of exchange for up to 12 months into the future. So again, it's reducing that exposure to the markets. The good thing with the forward contract is you don't have to pay for it in full straight away. You only need to lodge 5% of the amount that you're looking to convert within a couple of working days of fixing the rate. And then the remaining 95% just comes in a few days before the far end date of the contract, or when the client needs the euros. So they're staying in control of the majority of the money. They're still going to be sat in their savings account, generating some interest over that period of time, but they've got that peace of mind to know how much that property is costing them. Because once that property price has been agreed, that's not going to change. But how much those euros cost will change second by second until you fix that rate of exchange. And that's where the forward contracts are really, really valuable. We've seen swings of, between sort of 5 and 10% for sterling euro over the course of this year. So getting the timing right on that transfer and protecting yourself against a sort of 5% movement is key. You don't want to all of a sudden get 24 hours before the notaire requires the money to find that the property's 5% more expensive than when you first agreed that price. So those forward contracts I think are perfect for people purchasing properties. You've also got the tool which we call a limit order or order to buy, and that is an order that will sit in with our counterparties and trigger and purchase the currency automatically if that rate is achieved. So that can just sit in the market 24/7, and if that rate is achieved, the currency is purchased automatically, which is great if I'm not at my desk. So if it's during the Asian trading session or at the weekend, you're never going to miss a beat.
Yeah, nice. Some really interesting and valuable products there that you can offer to clients, especially the forward contract, right? Ties in nicely with the overseas property purchase and the dates. I guess that leads on well to my next question, which is we have a lot of buyers that are buying off plan, so 12, 18 months. What would you say? How would you say smart currency can plug into an off plan purchase?
Similar thing is that it's all about using that forward contract to the best of its ability. If there's a spike in the rates and someone wants to take advantage of that, they can buy the full amount that they need, but then just call on their funds as and when they need them. So if they've got stage payments to make every few months, they would just send in the relevant currency amount to achieve what they need to send out in euros. We'll draw that down off of the contract and use that up over the course of 12 months. And you can have multiple forward contracts going at any one time. You're not restricted just to one, but I often do multiple sort of forward contracts for people for stage payments if it's going to be like an 18-month or 2-year build.
Okay, perfect. And you can lock in a forward contract for, is there a limit on the time?
12 months normally. So if it's going to be a 2-year, then obviously we might get sort of 6 months or 9 months into that first contract, and then if rates are still favourable, lock in for then another 9 months or whatever it might be, just to complete the duration of the build for them.
Yeah, makes sense. And when I speak to clients, a lot of clients are, when I speak to them about currency and some other services, a lot of clients say to me, "Oh, we want to find the property first. We want to go out and look at some properties and then think about, the currency side of things and the mortgage side and some other services." What would you say to those people that kind of want to wait until they've found a property before they speak to yourself?
I would say it's best just to get in contact with us sooner rather than later. There's no obligation or cost to set up the account. That's quick and easy. But by having that account open, if there is a sudden spike in the rates and they want to take advantage, then the account is there ready to lock in. So you're not going to miss the boat. If there's a sudden spike and think, oh, okay, now I want to book it, then got to go through opening the account, which although we can get it done in half an hour or something, that it can lead to people just missing that spike, and that can lead into thousands of pounds sometimes. So it's, I always like to speak to people as quickly as I can. And obviously, the sooner I can start speaking to someone, the sooner I can start building that strategy to reduce their risk and exposure to the markets as well.
What would you say some of the most common pitfalls are, when people are trying to navigate in markets by themselves, or I understand people nowadays with the internet, you can do your own research, but how can speaking to you avoid some of the common pitfalls, I guess?
I'd probably say the biggest one for me is that people can get too focused on market data and get into a position where they're just simply hoping the rate will improve. Obviously, I understand completely that people always want to get the best rate they possibly can and keep the cost down, but at the same time, you've got to take the approach that the rate could go the other way as well. So you don't want to get sort of caught chasing your tail. And also, I'd always say to a client, did you enter into this to purchase a property or speculate on the currency markets? And when you ask that question, 9 times out of 10, or almost 10 out of 10, someone will say it was to purchase the property. I'm not a gambling person, so clients say I've never been into a casino or I've never put a bet on a horse. Well, you're now having a £500,000 gamble on the currency markets or whatever it might be. So, and a 1% or 2% move on that amount, you're not talking pocket change. You're talking £5,000-10,000. So, that can make a big difference.
Yeah, like you said, when you've got your life savings on the line, it's definitely worth speaking to an expert about when's the best time to be exchanging that, isn't it? One of the final questions here is what differentiates you from other currency exchange brokers, and how is that relevant to SnowOnly clients?
Well, I think here at Smart, we offer a bespoke, tailored service to clients, and I think that's important. It's not just going under the umbrella of what the banks can offer. Say you've got someone at the end of the phone or on email, to provide expertise. As I say, I've been in the industry for 14 years. But from a personal point of view, when I'm speaking to clients, I like to think that I'm professional and honest. I've got a lot of experience in the French system, know the process inside out, and I'll try and tailor what the client's needs are to the markets and the products that we can offer. And I always like to try and put the clients first, and I'll always try and be as proactive as I possibly can. I'm not someone who's going to bombard someone with calls or emails. I will work to the client's need and their schedule, and I'll, as I say, be as proactive as I can, just to make sure that we are getting it right for them.
Yeah, perfect. That's amazing. And just so any clients that are on this video watching that have stuck with us this far, whenever I send a client over to Smart Currency, you will be speaking with Aaron Morris directly, and it will be an email intro from myself, and you will be speaking to Aaron directly about your currency requirements. I guess last question from my side, Aaron, is: are you able to facilitate all countries at Smart Currency, or is there any limitations?
No, absolutely. We can help anyone as long as it's a major currency pair that they're looking to convert into. Then yeah, that's not a problem. The location doesn't restrict anybody opening an account with us. And from my point of view, I'll always try and be as flexible as I can in terms of call times and video calls to fit a client's schedule or time zone. So yeah, that's never an issue either, Jake.
Perfect. Amazing. Well, that's it from me. Thank you very much for your time, Aaron. It's been super nice chatting to you. Appreciate you jumping on the channel and answering a few of my questions for the upcoming ski season. For anyone that's still watching, again, feel free to download the 5-step guide that we've got on site. I'll link that below. All the YouTube jazz, hit the like, hit the subscribe. It helps build the channel and make more content for you guys like this. So hopefully that was helpful. Aaron, again, thank you very much. Super insightful.